Good morning, boys and girls. It's Monday morning, it's bank holiday, and I thought we'd have a little look at the history of the Power PC and the Amiga, and how it came to be, where it is now, and what the hell's going on. So, this is sourced from various places on the internet, various articles I've read, magazines and various things. So I hope it's accurate. It should be, but we'll see. So part one is the Commodore era, or Commodore kind of era of the Power PC. So let's start. In 1991, IBM, Apple and Motorola created the Power PC Alliance that would create new and fast RISC CPUs for use by IBM, Apple and Motorola. Meanwhile, Phase 5 was founded in 1992 as a subsidiary of AS&S by Wolf Dietrich and Gerald Garda. In 1994, Motorola introduced the 3.3 volt 68060 CPU, and this would be the last of the 68K CPUs. In April of 1994, meanwhile, the once mighty Commodore files for bankruptcy and collapses. ESCOM and Gateway 2000 then fight over the dead corpse of Commodore in an effort to bring back the Amiga in some shape or form. In 1996, ESCOM, finally winning, decided to bring back the Amiga 1200 and the A4000T before ESCOM themselves quickly filed for bankruptcy with an ever-increasing mountain of debt. Once again, the Amiga was homeless. Meanwhile, in 1995, during a keynote speech, Petro, I'm going to say this wrong, Petro, so forgive me. Petro, the CEO and president of Amiga Technology, officially announces Power PC to be the processor of the Amiga. The first Power PC Amiga will be available in the first quarter of 1997 and will feature a Power PC 604 RISC CPU. Further models will appear later in the entry level as well as the mid-level range. Amiga Technologies announced they are going to port over Amiga operating system, Amiga OS, to the Power PC as part of their Amiga plan for the future. Amiga Technologies is to launch a new Power PC models featuring the 604E. In cooperation with Amiga Technologies, Phase 5 will also release Amiga OS 4 compatible Power PC boards for the Amiga 1200, Amiga 3000 and 4000. However, in 1996, Amiga Technologies entered deep financial problems with their parent company ESCOM and decide to stop all production of Amiga development due to lack of resources. This means that Amiga Technologies are no longer providing any new hardware or software, and Phase 5 has to launch their own accelerators without a Power PC native Amiga operating system. As a stopgap solution, a new power-up kernel and software drivers are written, allowing Power PC native software to run in parallel with the Amiga 68K, meaning that the Amiga will have dual CPU accelerator cards. To complicate things further, former Commodore International Chief Engineer Dave Haney openly questions Phase 5 plans to develop a Power PC board without Amiga Technologies. He says, quote, "Their approach on the software front is kind of a hack. On the hardware front, it's too much like the old Commodore at best. They'll wind up with interesting, non-standard and overpriced machines that cannot keep up with the rapid changes in industry." In a response to this, Wolf Dietrich, General Manager of Phase 5, wrote in 1996, "With interest, I have read Dave's comments on the current Amiga situation, and as we and the Amiga are in a situation where a lot of major decisions for the future, I would like to answer one of his comments and reflect on our position. First of all, there is no animosity on our part against Amiga Technologies. We just want to get things going. So we started the Power Up project in late 1995 as Amiga Technologies was not giving away any view or comment on the subject. We had been offering Amiga Technologies all of our support for a long time, but we have approached a situation where there is no more cooperation and nothing left to cooperate in. So Phase 5 were on their own. It is estimated that PowerPC boards eventually from Phase 5 and later DCE sold about 10,000 units. And this is quite a good figure if you think of the price of these accelerator boards, especially in the 1990s. They were very expensive. So this is the early era of the Amiga Power PC. We're going to move on now slightly to around 2000 and what you could call the modern-ish era of the Amiga. The Amiga 1 was announced by iTech in 2000. They said, "We move towards the rebirth of the Amiga platform. The Amiga 1 and Amiga OS 4 are projects that have occupied almost every day of our lives for the last 2 years. For the community, the wait and false dawns have been unbearable." That's from Bill McEwen, CEO of Amiga Inc. in 2002. Originally in 2000, Amiga 1 was the name of the project for a new computer hardware developed to run Amiga Digital Environment (DE). This was later replaced by Amiga OS 4. Initially it was managed by iTech and designed by a German manufacturing company. The Amiga 1 motherboards were to be available in two models, the Amiga 1 1200 and the Amiga 1 4000. These would be expansions for the 1200 and 4000. Excuse me. These were never released. These plans were revised and new motherboards were designed from the ground up with an ATX configuration, which then became the Amiga 1 SE and the Amiga 1 XE. The SE as a soldered on 600 MHz 750 PowerPC, and the Amiga 1 XE had a Mega Ray connector on the motherboard for CPU daughterboards. The Amiga G1 is often supplied underclocked, running at 800 MHz. In 2007, A-Cube offered the 1.267 GHz 7457 CPU. The Micro A1 was later announced in two configurations, being an industrial and consumer version. However, only the C ever entered into production. When the Amiga 1 boards first became available, the Amiga operating system, OS 4, was not available. It was not in a working or stable situation, and the Amiga motherboards were supplied with a Linux distribution. From 2004 on, all motherboards were shipped with the developer's pre-release version of OS 4. The final update of OS 4 was released in December 2006. This was initially for the Amiga 1 computers only. Amiga OS 4.1 for the Amiga 1 was released in 2008. Meanwhile, MAI Logic Inc., who supplied the motherboards or part of the motherboards for the Amiga 1, went bankrupt. Consequently, all supplies for the iTech Amiga 1 dried up. This led iTech Group to retire from the market in 2005, so the Amiga was once again hardwareless. In February 2010, a new company, Aeon Technology, in cooperation with Hyperion Entertainment, officially announced a new Amiga 1 model, the Amiga 1 X1000, and it was first shown at Bletchley Park at the Computer Festival in 2010. The project, however, was delayed slightly, but eventually launched in 2012 with Amiga OS 4.1.5. In September 2011, A-Cube then introduced the Amiga 1 500 using a SAM460EX motherboard. In October 2011, Hyperion Entertainment announced that it was launching an Amiga 1 notebook in mid-2012. However, this was cancelled about a year later. Also at AmiWest in 2013, Aeon Technology announced 3 new Amiga 1 motherboards with a project name Cirrus. Aeon had a list of proposed names that could be voted for, and in January 2014 the names were announced for the Amiga 1 X5020, the Amiga 1 X5040 and the Amiga 1 X3 500. The new motherboards were aimed to replace the aging Amiga 1 motherboards. Lastly, Aeon Technology announced at AmiWest 2013 that they had signed a $1.2 million investment with All System. So this is where we are at the current state of affairs. The Power PC, on reflection, was to be AIM's common hardware platform for the 1990s. It was intended for personal computers. The architecture is well known for being used in the Apple Macintosh, the PowerBook, the iBook and the Xserve lines from 1994 until around mid-2006 when Apple migrated to Intel's x86 hardware. It has since become a niche product. It is still found in personal computers, but not very much. It remains highly popular as an embedded and high-performance processor and has found its way into millions of video games consoles as the processor of choice. Close of the decade of the 1990s to 2000, manufacturing issues became plaguing AIM Alliance in much the same way they did with Motorola. Towards the 2000s, inconsistencies and problems with new production forced Motorola to review their production cycle. In 2004, Motorola exited the chip manufacturing business once and for all by spinning off its semiconductor business to a new company called Freescale Semiconductor. Around the same time, IBM exited the 32-bit processor market by selling off its Power PC products to Applied Microcircuits Corporation, AMCC. So, on reflection, was the Power PC a successful product? Yes, it was. Millions were sold, and it provided the Amiga with a semi-compatible CPU that it didn't have at this point. Motorola killed the 68K, so there was no choice but to use a Power PC, also by Motorola. The IBM Power PC with Motorola and Apple was probably the most sensible choice at this time. But on reflection, was it the CPU that perhaps was the best choice? Well, who knows? There is much speculation. They are still in production on a smaller scale. We have new Amiga motherboards on the way, and Amiga OS 4.1 is probably doing better now than it ever has in its life cycle. So the future looks bright for the moment. Hopefully we can see a revised push of the Amiga. Who knows, one day it might even be in a shop near you. I wouldn't bank on it, but you never know. So that is a brief history of the IBM Power PC. It was once seen as the mighty Power PC which could outrun the x86 at every turn. People forget now, but the original Pentium PC wasn't a marvellous design. It had lots of issues, lots of problems, and the IBM Power PC trounced it in performance tests. It really did make it look like a snail, as Apple showed on their adverts. But as time has gone on, Intel have spent more money, they have more resources, and they're a much bigger company, and they have cracked the x86 market, whereas IBM have scaled back production to the point now where they've sold everything and no longer make 32-bit CPUs. So it's down to individual companies now to carry on the mantle of the IBM PC and see where it goes. IBM still make a 64-bit Power PC CPU. So that's it from me. I hope you enjoyed the video. I know it's a little long-winded and there's lots of talking going on there, but I do apologise. Thank you very much. Have a good day, and I'll see you in the next video. Thank you.